Welcome to Comics with Dan, and this is the Comics Commute number 35. It has been a while. I recently started a new role at my job, and two things. It's more work, surprisingly, and I also don't go into the office. Now, I happen to be going in today, so I figured, why not record an episode? I didn't have much time to prepare for this episode, which, again, part of the reason that the Comics Commute halted is just lack of time. But I'll kind of ramble for 15-20 minutes, just for old time's sake. But yeah. So I don't remember what exactly I've read since the last time we've talked. But I can definitely talk about some things I've read lately that I'm pretty sure I haven't talked about on the last Comics Commute. So one thing is Absolute Power ended, right? There's a ton of DC stuff that there is to talk about. So Absolute Power ended. We got the All-In special, as well as the DC All-In initiative starting. We got a couple of those. So the books that I'm reading for that, so I read the All-In special. I really liked it. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really cool that there were two sides of it and they met in the middle. I think it's going to be awesome. And so the books that I'm pulling from the actual All-In initiative are Nightwing with Dan Waters and Dexter Soy, which that first issue, 119, was fantastic. Batman and Robin by Philip Kennedy Johnson. And was it Ramon Perez on art, I think? I'm not 100% sure. You'll have to fact check me on that one. But so Batman and Robin and Superman by Josh Williamson and Dan Mora. And I don't think... Titans by John Layman. I did have to drop that one just because I really needed to cut my pull list, and when I looked at it, that was one that, even though that first issue by Layman was fine, and I don't have a problem with it, it just didn't make the cut. I read Absolute Batman and Absolute Wonder Woman, and I read... and I will be reading Justice League Unlimited. I added and took New Gods off of my pull list. I feel like I'm going to end up regretting it. But my pull list it's just so big. I can't keep up with it. I go over budget just like every single week. So it's too much. But so many great DC books. Yeah, so let's just talk about the DC books then. Absolute Batman was awesome, right? It just felt so fresh and it didn't feel like Elseworlds Batman, just because I think all the details were there, and it wasn't just, this is Batman if he was working class, right? There's more to it than that, right? There's all different kinds of scenario, or different things that are affecting this. I think perhaps the biggest thing is that Alfred is not the butler, and he's this MI6 agent, or former MI6, or whatever it is that he actually is. But he is going to have a completely and totally different influence on Bruce than he did, not only than he did before, but I think than any other character. It was just so good. I did a review on it, so make sure you check that out. But yeah, so I don't want to take up too much of the the Comics Commute time talking about one that I already have a review out there for. So I'll put the card, the link to the video here, and then we can talk about some more DC books. So we can talk about Titans. I don't recall which issue number. I don't remember if it was like 17 or 18 or something like that. But it started out pretty good. I like how the initial thought is like, well, if everyone's in the Justice League, what does that mean for the Titans? And they're all saying in this issue, well, nothing's going to change. We're still the Titans. We'll still operate as the Titans, but we're also members of the Justice League. And so here's the thing with that, is that if they're just using that as we're going to answer that question for you and move along, and this is just going to be a regular Titans book, then I'm not a fan, right? However, if they are actually exploring that as an issue, where perhaps we're going to see, different members of the Titans have to go on a Justice League mission and aren't available for a Titans mission, and loyalties are questioned. I think that could be cool. I think that would be a nice sort of twist to it. It also seems like this one's gonna be pretty Donna Troy centered, which is fine by me. I like Donna Troy. Unfortunately, like I said, I had to drop it just because it didn't make the cut. But I am looking forward to reading it in trade, hopefully, after the fact. So, I would definitely still recommend it if you have the room on your pull list. I would be buying it now if I had room on my pull list and in the budget. I read Batman and Robin. I believe that was number 14. I really like Philip Kennedy Johnson, so I know a lot of people were complaining about how he made Damian Wayne bratty again. I mean, part of Damian Wayne's personality is that he is very much like Bruce, in that he is a bit standoffish and, very serious. And then on top of that, he's young. So he's behaving the way that a teenager behaves. On top of that, just because he has had character development, I don't think it was really anything in this issue that, set his character development back. It's the way that a teenager behaves. And it's also not different enough that you couldn't just chalk it up to creator changes. I mean, you can't expect a creator to write a character the exact same way from one issue to the next, or from one run to the next, rather. It's a completely different creator, right? Different writer. So I don't get the outrage at that, but I also am not a huge Damian Wayne fan. So I'm excited to see what Philip Kennedy Johnson cooks. He is... I got to meet him at Baltimore Comic Con, and I might have mentioned this already too, but I got to meet him at Baltimore Comic Con, and he told me that he was going to approach writing this Batman book, this Batman and Robin book, as if he's never going to write another Batman story, which is such a cool thing to hear, because it's going to be good. I read Nightwing, number 119, Dan Waters, Dexter Soy. I also got to interview Dan Waters, which was really cool. And so I'll link to that interview here. But the issue, I did the interview before I read the issue, and it was awesome. It was great. It felt so much more like the Chuck Dixon era without being the Chuck Dixon era. So it has that edginess that I like about Chuck Dixon's run, but it feels modern still. So that's awesome. I'm very excited about that. There was to me a big twist in the fact that, well, let's just put it this way: if you've read the preview pages but haven't read the book, you're going to be very surprised at what happens, because I know I was. I'm not going to spoil it, because you should pull it, or at least read it in trade whenever the first arc comes out. So yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it, to me, I think. But I mean, Dexter, I don't think I've ever read anything with Dexter Soy on art. So he did a really good job. I liked his art a lot. And so, yeah, no, I mean, it was a good start. I think that Tom Taylor's ending fell flat, which, I mean, I don't know. I do like Tom Taylor. I mean, I really like Dark Knights of Steel. I like Injustice. I only read the first Deceased book, but I liked it. And the beginning of his Nightwing run was good. I just have some things I guess I would have done differently. I know a lot of people really, really bash it, and I'm not super complimentary of it, but yeah, I gotta be honest about my opinion on it. You know, I mean, it is what it is. So Superman, Josh Williamson and Dan Mora. I don't recall who's on colors, but I know it's not Tamara Bonvillain, which is fine. But I liked Superman, the first DC All-In Superman issue. It was I don't love the idea of Lois with powers. I know it's been done before. I didn't really care for it then, and I don't really like it now. But honestly, I feel like the execution was really good. The part where Lois and Clark meet in the same closet to change into their costumes is awesome. I think, like, that truthfully, to me, like, is an all-time Superman image of those two stumbling across each other in the same, janitor's closet. It seems like it's gonna be really good. Yeah, so I can tell so far that it's gonna be, a Williamson style book, which is no problem. Just something to think about if you're gonna check it out. Obviously, Dan Mora's art is gorgeous. It's fantastic. The reason I pulled the book is because of Dan Mora's art, and I mean, it hit the mark. Absolutely. And I actually don't have any pulls upcoming this week. It's one of those, I'm pretty sure it's the 5th Wednesday of the month, so it's a bit of an odd time. My wallet appreciates the break. My budget appreciates it. I am going to be doing Absolute Superman, even though I'm very skeptical about it. Not skeptical about Jason Aaron, because he rocks. But I am skeptical about the idea of Superman not having any of the things that I like about Superman. So I think it's probably going to be something that's well done, but not something that blows me away. In terms of like how much I like it, right? Like I'm sure I'll recognize the ability, the talent there, but I just don't know that it's going to be for me. But I'm making a lot of I'm making a lot of assumptions right now, so we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to pick it up regardless, just because I'm excited about all these Absolute books. In terms of non-DC stuff, I've been posting reviews on Space Ghost, so make sure you check those out. I just released a review on a book called Corvus, which is about this guy that is really good at video games, so they recruit him to fight aliens. And if that doesn't sound fun to you, then I don't know what to tell you, because it sounds awesome to me, and it is awesome. It's a good book. I had a lot of fun reading it, and the writer and letterer, Buddy Beaudoin, and I'm hoping I pronounced his name right, because I've reviewed the books that he lettered for Gatchaman, as well as Flash Gordon Quarterly. So hopefully I'm not just like mispronouncing his name the whole time. That'd be embarrassing. But he sent me the review copies, and I really liked it. It was good. It was good. Oh, as part of the Marvel Insider rewards, I got issues of X-Men #1, X-Force #1, and then NYX, which I did not read NYX yet, but I did read X-Men, and I read whether it's X-Factor or X-Force, and you'll see, I'll put it on the screen and make fun of myself for not knowing what it is. I like those decently. I still hold my stance of not being able to follow X-Men books, because it's just a little too much for me. But they were enjoyable enough. And I just got volume 10 of Amazing Spider-Man, which is the one that follows, I believe it follows Gang War. It's called Breathe. It's got the Spidey in the Rain cover from JRJR, so it's a pretty solid cover. But might do a review on that one, so we'll see. Yeah, I think that's all I have. So I don't know when I'm going to be doing another Comics Commute, so hopefully this can tide you over a bit. But make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe, check out my other videos here, and thanks so much for watching.